the change you wanna see.
Seaside is a caring, connected, and expanding spiritual community, sharing practical tools for richer living.
Just your heart to show you how you can be the change if you wanna.
We join in partnership with God to influence our lives for good, whether for improved health, finances, relationships, or simple happiness and joy.
Plant a flower, watch it grow. You will reap.
Be in your life, whether you're freaking out or not, that this is a place where we love you, we support you, wherever you may be on your spiritual path. And your presence here today makes a difference as to how the morning unfolds. And so one of the ways we like that it unfolds is by standing up and saying hello to the person that's next to you.
Good morning, Seaside. Please remain standing for the congregational song. We know this one, let's go call and response. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Let me love. Oh, let me know that love is all around. Oh, let me know that love is all around. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. You sing. Oh, that's right. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. That's beautiful, Seaside. Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me know that love can heal us all. Oh, let me know that love can heal us all. Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way. You sing. Yeah. Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way. Beautiful, Seaside. Come on, Bob.
Where's first service? What are you doing?
No, I
Sleeping in
wasn't.
or something? Or?
I flew in from Arizona this morning.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Well, hey, we're grateful to have you for the second service.
I'm grateful to be here.
All
Love
right.
it.
Well, how fun. That is Rebecca Jade. Oh, wow. What a wonderful morning. We kind of call the last Sunday of the month a sacred Sunday because we throw out a lot of the announcements and we put our energy and emphasis on the practitioner consciousness and the prayer wall. And once a year, we watch our practitioners rededicate themselves to service to God as well as this community. And on Friday night, we came together as the practitioner group, and we do it within the consciousness of the practitioner field. But then on Sunday mornings, we do it in a public way. So at the end of the service, we're going to have an opportunity to experience that. But in the meantime, we're moving it deeper, and want to invite you to pull out your phones and share it, check in. You're with your Facebook, tell your friends exactly where you're at, what's going on, and let them know they can watch it live. Just go to the website and click it on, or go to Facebook Live. It's happening. So we want to share this message because I see John standing in the back checking in with his group. He shared at the first service. He's been podcasting this, which is the audio part. It's called Joyous Podcasts. It's in your Sunday program. It's in 90 countries every week. The message that goes on here at Seaside goes out to the world. And John, we're just so grateful to your dedication to getting the word out. That's huge. So, but to take us to that deeper place right now is a wonderful practitioner. You have seen him around Seaside from the beginning, often in the bookstore ordering your books. But right here, just taking us to a little deeper place, this is David Kennedy.
Good morning. Please join me in a moment of stillness. I feel a presence, a spirit, an energy flowing in, around, and through me right now. I call that energy, that spirit, God. And I know that energy and that spirit, that love and peace and harmony flows through everyone right here and right now in this wonderful Seaside. And I know that the words of Dr. Christian are coming from that spirit, from that energy, that God. And I am grateful that it is so.
Blessings and grace, love overflowing, joy in this place. Spirit is showing blessings and grace. Mind, body, soul, and I am one with God. Blessings and grace, love overflowing, joy in this place. Spirit is showing blessings and grace. Mind, body, soul, and I am one with God.
Thank you, Rebecca, for your beautiful music. And thank you, David Kennedy, for your wonderful prayer. Good morning. My name is Brian Atkins. I have been a practitioner here at Seaside for 16 years. Thank you. And I've been in ministerial school now for 4 quarters, so I'm looking forward to finishing that up. And today I will be doing our reading. But before I do that, I want to welcome any of you that are newcomers today and know that we have a newcomer packet that you're welcome to for free at either outside of either exits. So please avail yourself of that. So this morning's message is finding faith when freaking out. And I can't think of anything that would make a person freak out more than the loss of their child, which is why I chose the book, When Bad Things Happen to Good People, for my reading. And a little bit about that. First of all, it's a book about when your entire world is shattered, when it comes tumbling down around you, how do you find the faith to go on living? Now, it's a book that's written by Rabbi Harold Kirshner, and it was written because he was losing his son, Aaron, at the age of 14 to progeria, which is an early aging disease. And one thing about this book that I'd like to mention is that Aaron was aware that he was passing away. And he came to his father and said, I'm concerned that my life will be gone without any meeting. No one will know about me. And his father said, I'm not well known, but I'm going to write a book. And, we'll see what happens. I'm going to write a book about this experience. Well, he came out with this book, and it immediately shot to the top of the New York Times bestseller list. So not only did Aaron not go forgotten, but he literally touched people around the world, hundreds of thousands of people around the world. Everybody was buying it. And it's interesting because the Catholics actually bought it, and they started giving it out to the congregations. Now remember, this is a Jewish rabbi who wrote this book. And, of course, the Catholics are saying, well, we can straighten their perceptions of God out afterwards, but our people really need this book. And this excerpt comes from Harold Kirshner. I am a more sensitive person, a more effective pastor, and a more sympathetic counselor because of Aaron's life and death. And I would give it up in a second if I could have my son back. Other bereaved parents, other men and women who have gained strength, insight, and compassion from their trials have told me that they share those same sentiments. But of course, we cannot choose. We can only try to cope. That is what one does with sorrow, with tragedy, with my misfortune. We do not try to explain it. We do not justify it by telling ourselves that we somehow deserve it. We do not even accept it. We survive it. We recognize its unfairness and defiantly choose to go on living. I now tell bereaved parents, you have inherited from your child all the years he or she never got to live, just as you inherited their books and toys and stereo. You inherited their unlived years. Those years are a precious legacy from them to you. Use them well. Don't be afraid to enjoy life just because your loved one isn't there to enjoy it with you. Live their years along with your own and feel their presence as you do.
Beautiful. Good morning, Seaside. Well, it's my honor to introduce our guest artist today. So grateful that he's here. He has such a beautiful voice, And we hope that you enjoy his selections this morning, sharing his gift with us. He's actually working on a new CD. We're so happy. I can't wait to hear that. So without further ado, please help me welcome Michael Paul Smith.
Good morning, Seaside! Woo! I'm by the water now. Man, what a joy to be here, see all of you, such beautiful members. I'm actually taking a class. It's okay if I say something about that, Christian? I'm going back and I'm taking a foundation class. If you've never taken a class before, you better be ready for it, because it's going to unravel some wonderful things about you. And I know it's certainly doing that for me. It's on Tuesday night. I'm in the foundation class. And it's pretty amazing. So if you haven't taken a class, jump in. The water is nice. Okay? I'm not going to say it's warm, it's cold. It's nice. And anyway, so good to be here. I have a song, one of my favorites is titled Believe in Yourself. Without belief, we can accomplish virtually nothing. With belief, we can accomplish everything. Within your heart, you know that no one can change the path that you must go. Believe what you feel and know you're right. The time will come around when you say it's yours. Believe there's a reason to be. Believe you can make time stand still. The moment you try, when you believe, oh yeah. Believe in yourself right from the start. Believe in the magic that's there in your heart. Believe all these things, not because I ask you to. Just believe in yourself. When you believe in yourself, just believe in yourself, and all your dreams come true. Oh yeah. Not because Michael asked you to.
Michael Paul Smith. Wow. Woo! Whoa, just believe. My goodness, they come true. I remember doing classes with Michael almost 30 years ago. We were singing and talking, doing classes together up in L.A. And here you are, man. Your dreams coming true. Living with your sweetheart down by the beach and hanging out at the best spiritual community in the movement called Seaside Center. All right. So, hey, this morning's message is finding faith when you're freaking out. And when I came up with that, I just could think of Chicken Little running around. The sky's falling, just running around trying to get people to believe the sky's falling. You know, jumping on his back and putting his feet up, trying to hold the sky from falling. Now that's freaking out, you know. And we think, how ridiculous. But I got to tell you, we've been pumped with headlines and all sorts of things that say, it's time to really freak out, guys. This is serious stuff. But what I want us to get is how to keep our faith in the midst of being called to freak out. And this is a perennial question that comes to ministers and mystics and real estate agents and Starbucks baristas and even kids, you know, like Calvin and Hobbes, you know, the monsters living under the bed. You know, there is something there that is really, it's going to get me. This is not a good thing that is happening. And all of a sudden, the momentum begins to build and the cause gets set into motion and the effects continue to substantiate that. And what I know and I believe that intelligence that steers the stars and spins the earth and inspires cable TV just hasn't left the house, you know. That spirit is there no matter where your head is going or what fear you're going with. You know, things just continue in the cosmos or the order of things. And as we begin to learn how to keep our faith and to focus on that, we're not going to lose our relationship. You know, you don't lose, you know, your relationship with God like a rotten relationship in this world. You know, those relationships in life can drop you. You know, and sometimes you get dropped for like reasons that, you know, your hair is going gray or light on top or you put on a few extra pounds or chins. And what I got is that God's love, that goddess's love, that infinite's love doesn't respond like that. It's not fickle. You know, even though you may be freaking out, it doesn't mean that love has changed. God's love is not fickle. It's not neurotic. It's not passive aggressive. It is not codependent. It is there. It is solid. And what has changed is my relationship to that. What has shifted in my world is my connection with the infinite because I have started to believe in what is being pumped into my field of awareness that this is the truth, and I begin to forget that the truth is God, that the truth is spirit. And though my life is looking in a certain way, it doesn't mean that God has changed its mind toward me. You are still that beloved child that spirit is well pleased in. And what has shifted is you. What has shifted here is that we begin to take that which is moving through us and identify with that which isn't serving us any longer. Something is broken. Something is not working. Let me tell you more about it. Let me tell you what is happening. All of a sudden, I begin to believe my news bias. All of a sudden, I begin to believe that there is this challenge, and it seems so real. And I find people to begin to back my side and my opinion. And all of a sudden, I'm just like Chicken Little running around getting people convinced that my experience is really the truth. And I'm screwed. I mean, or you can decide, you know what? It's my relationship that needs to shift here and allow something to be different. I mean, it's easy to feel love when people are being kind to you and considerate to you and caring. It's easy to feel that love. It's easy to have faith when things are moving and grooving in your direction. But can you keep faith when your world is shaking? Can you keep the faith when you begin to question? That is the perennial question that we are continually asked. And what has happened and what happens to substantiate the position is that I said, can you? You got that? That's how we come to know. Life is saying, can you Keep the faith. Let me shake it up a little bit more for you and see, am I able to have that faith? Because I got to tell you, there is no person who is not one of faith. There's not a person of non-faith. Everybody has faith. It's just a matter of where you place it. And one of my favorite writings in all of Ernest Holmes' book, The Science of Mind, is his chapter on faith. I liked it and like it so much that I actually wrote it out in my Inside Seaside article for you, so you have it to take home. But I want to share it with you because it's definitely thought-provoking. So, someone has said that the entire world is suffering from one big fear: the fear that God will not answer our prayers. And what is faith? It's nothing more nor less than the negative use of faith. It's faith misplaced. It's a belief in two powers instead of one. It's a belief that there can be a power opposed to God whose influence and ability may bring us evil. In other words, to correct all the evils of the world would be but to have the positive faith, a faith rightly placed, a faith that lays hold of the integrity of the universe. Pure faith is a spiritual conviction. It is the acquiescence of the mind, and it's the embodiment of a greater idea. It's the acceptance of a concept. If we believe that the Spirit that's incarnated in us can demonstrate, shall we be disturbed by what appears to contradict this? We shall often need to know that the truth with which we announce is superior to the condition we wish to change. You got that? We've got to know that the truth that we are proclaiming is greater than the condition in which we wish to see changed in our life. Where are you going to put your faith, guys? On what you're freaking out? Oh no, things are falling apart here. Or are you going to put your faith in knowing that there's a power greater than what is going on out there? You know the saying, the cliche that says it's time to tell, or it's time to stop telling God how big your problems are and start telling your problems how big your God is. So, yeah. And so we have got to take our misplaced faith and stop freaking out by saying, yeah, look at this, look at this, look at the evidence, and begin to realize that there's something that wants to emerge here, and I've got to have the faith. And here's a big piece of religious science, a big principle that's important to Ernest Holmes when he talks about faith. He says, you got to stop putting your faith in God. It's like, what? Whoa, what's going on here? You know, because majority of the people have been taught to pray to God. I'm going to put my faith in God or put my faith in a saint. But as long as we're putting our faith in something outside of ourselves, it is outside and there is separation. What Ernest Holmes says, instead of a faith in God, we've got to have the faith of God. That's right. You've got to have the faith of God. In the beginning was the Word. That is the cause that I have set in motion. That is the power. I've got the faith of God that is moving through me right here, right now, in this moment. And it is powerful. It is life transforming. I've got the faith of God. You know, there's an old story. It's told by most of the different philosophies and religions. I recently read it this week in Goldsmith's book, Power of the Presence. But it's about a spiritual guy who dies and he goes to heaven. He knocks on the door, has to wait a while, and God shows up. And finally says, who is there? Like, here's this omniscient being. Who is it? But anyway, I just got that visual. But that's not really part of the story. Anyway, God comes to and says, who is there? And the guy says, it is I. And God says, you know, there is no room in heaven for you. Come back another time. The guy's just kind of shocked, and he goes back. And so he spends the next several years doing his spiritual practices, getting in and getting. And he goes back to heaven a few years later. He knocks on the door. God comes, asks the same question, who's there? He says, you know, who's I? It is I, you know, and God says the same thing. You know, there isn't room in heaven. You've got to come back another time. And so this guy is a spiritual devotee of the divine, does his meditation, does the deeper work, and really contemplates the question, how can I be rejected for entering into heaven? I've been doing all. And after many more years, he goes back and he knocks on the gate, and Spirit says, you know, who is there? And this time the man says, thou art. Yep. And, God opens up the gate, says, come on in. There is never room for thou and thee. There isn't room for God and me or God and I. If Spirit is one through all things, if I have the faith of God, I am the expression of God, there isn't room for God and my little mindedness. There isn't room for God and my sickness. There isn't room for God and my freak out. There's only room if you want to experience heaven on earth or heaven wherever you are to know that there's only space for God. But as soon as you try to encroach that and bring in your little mindedness or your freak out or your doubts or your fears, there's going to be the challenge there. You've got to recognize that the faith of God is what I need to bring to this world and allow it to move through me and to be the action that Spirit is having. The activity that Spirit is having. You're needed. Here's kind of the inside thing. Without you, God's unexpressed. So you're very needed to the God expression. Without you, it's not going to be expressed. It's going to be this infinite, undifferentiated potential, which is nice, but it's not where it's happening. You've got to allow that Spirit to move you into action. Ernest Holmes, he talks about, imagine the pioneers coming to the frontier, and they look out upon the prairie, and they say, wow, look at this fertile soil. It is rich. Imagine the harvest that can come from this. Think of the bounty that is there, the beauty that God is, the landscape, the potential, the fullness of it. All of this is true, but it doesn't do any good unless you do some planting. And that's the thing. So often people just want to talk about Spirit and the potential, and they're missing out. It's not the spoken word. It is the demonstrable part. You've got to say, okay, this is what I'm going to do with Spirit in my life. That's what makes it relevant. This philosophy is great. It's true. But what good is it to you if you're not applying it in your life? We know the truth of this by the demonstrations and the manifestations in our life. Not just up here sharing some words on a Sunday morning. I am here trying to light a fire under you so you can take it and apply it in your life where it matters. Yeah. All of us are spiritual leaders. It's not about one person talking. It's about all of us taking it into life and making a difference with it. And it is the action that matters. It's, but you got to have the faith. Because life's going to continue to ask you to step up. The story from the Bible where Jesus' boys were out on the Sea of Galilee and the storms were coming and the boat was being rocked and they thought they were going to all drown. Remember that story? And all of a sudden they take a look out into the stormy sea and they just see Jesus walking across this water. Can you imagine that visual? Would that be crazy? And he didn't, he came and say, hey guys, but he didn't say, ye of water walking proficiency. Say, ye of little faith, guys. What, you didn't read the brochure here? How you're going to get this isn't just because I'm talking. You've got to take my hand and step out into the storm. You've got to step out into what is your greatest fear. You've got to be willing to let go of the solid boat and step into what you are fearing, to come to a realization that your faith is unshakable and you're not going to know it until you have applied it in your life. You want to have the faith? When you're freaking out, you've got to continue to step up to what's next and step up to what's next and to apply it and begin to deepen the conviction and realize the gradations of that or the levels have to do solely with our individual consciousness because we are dealing with a principle or a law that is infinite, that has untold possibilities. And as we're applying it in our life, sometimes things aren't going to work out the way we thought. We're going to have a bad day, bad job, bad doctors, all of a sudden, and it's like, beginning to stir and want to give the power away, and then you lose like one more thing, and it's like, how can this happen? But sometimes those things aren't meant to be for you. Have you ever snatched a lighter out of a little kid's hand who was about ready to set something on fire? And I think, how terrible. You don't love me anymore. It's not as if I'm withdrawing my love. I love you so much that I'm not going to let you move forward in the way in which you can burn down the house. Can we trust when something doesn't quite go the way in which I had imagined, that possibly there's a greater wisdom that is operating right here. Because so often we begin to think, when I connect with Spirit and everything is moving and grooving the way I think it should be, it means everything unfolds perfectly according to my plan. Rookie mistake. You know, it doesn't work like that. When things don't go the way, you get to decide about this. Okay, you know, am I going to really be angry? Yeah, it's a choice. Am I going to just numb myself out and go, Or am I going to say, you know, there's something greater going on here. I'm going to keep my faith here. I'm not going to freak out, because I had a lot riding on this, you know, and it didn't go that way. But I've got to know that there's something greater. I got to continue to step forward. You know, Martin Luther King, he wrote or said that faith is taking that first step even when you can't see the full stairwell, yeah, or stairway, you know. Can you take that first step even when you can't see where or how it's going to unfold? No, I can't answer that, but what I do know for sure is every action is registered in the universe, and there is a responsiveness to that. And so being optimistic is a real good strategy. I mean, being optimistic is basically saying, you know what? There's something greater here, and I'm going to step into that. Because if you are not optimistic and you don't see something that is greater, you're not stepping into it, and you're going to remain stuck freaking out with what isn't supporting you. I'm going to believe what the doctor said. I'm going to believe what the portfolio says. I'm going to believe that this relationship can go away if I begin to look different. And all of a sudden, I am basing my reality on the external world. I am putting my faith in something outside. I mean, you ever break a light bulb or a lamp at your house? Yeah, no. I mean, you know, it doesn't matter. The analogy still works here. But, you know, if you break that light bulb or the lamp, the electricity doesn't go away. You just, you know, the electricity and the power and the source is still available in our life. When things kind of break or don't go away, I'm not going to give my faith away to that broken piece, but rather I'm going to have the faith of that power of that electricity that's just looking for an outlet for it to move forth into expression. It is always seeking to express itself. It's always seeking to come forth. It is always seeking to come out there. And there is a responsiveness. Ernest Holmes, he writes, said, never look at that which you don't want to experience. Don't look at that which you don't want to experience, you know. You want to look at what you do. You know, the strategy for that optimistic life is, one, you've got to have a bigger dream, a bigger picture. You've got to have the courage to take a look and see what is beyond that, because the mystics and individuals, they're not afraid to look at it, but they don't get stuck there. It's not like don't ever look, but those that are masterful manifestors look through, and so they have the bigger dream, and then they move forward in life. You know, they get some momentum. They pace themselves. They stay focused, and there's no room for the failure to take hold in their life, because there's something greater that is going on. So Ernest says, hey, don't put your focus. Don't look at that which you don't want to experience. In other words, I like to say don't dwell there. But he writes a little bit more on page 184 that a perfect cause creates a perfect effect, disregarding any evidence to the contrary. You can look it up. It really is on that page. But, you know, perfect cause creates perfect effect, disregarding any evidence to the contrary. You know, it's just, that's what you get to do, is you get to set a new ripple, a new vibration, a new frequency, a new causative factor into motion that will create the perfect effect. This is what it does. What happens, though, is so often we're coming from our limited self. And limited self only wants to create that which is limited to us. Only that which it can believe and conceive and think of from its own human perspective. You have a grander self, an expanded self. You know, Wayne Dyer, he likes to say, or he said, or wrote, one of those, you know, and he said, but stay focused on your purpose rather than be discouraged by fear, and you will align with the infinite self, the one in which all possibility exists. Stay focused on your purpose. Don't allow yourself to become discouraged by your fear, but stay aligned with your infinite self within which all possibility exists. I mean, it's pretty simple. Where are you going to put this focus is what I was saying earlier. You get to decide. Am I going to numb out? Isn't this terrible? Freak out? Or isn't this somehow God showing up in my life? Where is it? Show me, Spirit, because I really am open. I really am available because I believe in the love of Spirit. It's not some broken, rotten relationship that bailed on me because I messed up over here, but rather that Spirit is not fickle. It is true. It is loving. It is unconditional. And that love is a consistent love of Spirit. It hasn't forgotten your name. It hasn't dropped the ball, forgot your birthday or any other day. It hasn't become engaged in or binging on some new Netflix series. It is totally 100% available to you. You are the one who has moved. How do you keep the faith? You don't. You got to allow that faith, the Spirit, to move through you as you look at anything and everything and look through the physical and begin to see, you know what, the Spirit's here. And it takes crazy bravery sometimes to do this in our life. Don't get me wrong. You've got to have a huge desire for sanity or sainthood or something to say, you know what, I'm going to just forgive myself or others in my world and let this go. And the head doesn't grasp that. It is a soul experience. It is a spiritual experience. But as you begin to allow the experience of Spirit to show up, things shift. Things happen. I mean, do you remember a time when actually things worked out really good for you? Yeah, think about that. I mean, this month, it was 20 years ago this month in 98 that Seaside won the bid for this property. How that worked out is a crazy story. Just this week, last Sunday, somebody came through, been a long, hard fight with a vicious cancer and just got a doctor's report that it's gone into remission. In other words, they can't find any more in the body. These stories, I want you to just for a moment think of a time when something really worked out good for you. And I want you to be aware that supportive energy, that wonderful wisdom that showed up hasn't gone anywhere. The Spirit's still in the house, spinning the earth, guiding the stars, but it's still in the house and available to you. And so what's important is to realize that when you're at choice, what I'm going to decide, freak out or have faith, that it's sometimes important to be able to embrace the uncertainty with a trust and a faith in that which is unseen, that which is still in the visible realm. But to be able to embrace that uncertainty with a faith and knowing all is well because, some of the most beautiful chapters of your life will only get titles later on. And so as you begin, to have faith in that and recognize that I'm no longer giving the power away, but I've got the faith of Spirit because I am Spirit expressing, thou art. That's who I am. You're going to find your world beginning to unfold in ways that are amazing. And so today we're going to listen to our practitioners recommit themselves to standing as a vortex for the power of God to show up, to be able to be those that speak the words of truth, that have been trained in the wonderful art of that cause that brings forth the perfect effect, and to be able to see as God sees as we lay before them a place of confusion or lack of clarity, and they stand with the faith of Spirit speaking their word. And so in a moment, we're going to give them the opportunity to rededicate themselves to be a service to Spirit and to Seaside. But right now, I want us to just recommit to ourselves that I'm going to choose faith in my life over freak out. And you'll watch that perfect effect unfold in your life from that divine cause that you have cast. God bless us as we do this together. And let's keep it going for Michael Paul Smith.
Do you have faith? Do you have faith? It says faith of a mustard seed. I know in our work as prayer and treatment, and I sinner, we need to have that faith. and watch us where we go, and help us to be wise in times when we don't know. Let this be our prayer when we lose our way. Lead us to a place, guide us with your grace, give us faith so we'll be saved. God's children reaching out to touch you, reaching to the sky. We ask that life be kind and watch us from above. We pray each another soul just to love. Let this be our prayer, just like every child needs to find a place. Guide us with your grace. Give us faith so we'll be saved. Oh, we'll be saved. Lead us to a place and guide us with your grace. Give us faith so we'll be saved. If we only have faith, we'll be saved. With faith, we'll be saved. We'll be
That is Michael Paul. Beautiful. Perfect song. All right. This is time of our service where we have the opportunity to unite together in our givingness and the sharing of our love. And know that your contribution does make a difference in our ability to do our mission, to serve this community and beyond our walls. And so as you give, it comes back, but that's not why you do it. That is how it works. You become the activity that Spirit is having in your life. So I invite you to listen within your heart and your soul and to feel that and to sense that and to allow that to move through you at this time. And with that, I'd like to invite our ushers to come forward. And I say thank you to this wonderful crew. Thank you to those who mail in your contributions when you cannot be here on a Sunday. It is greatly appreciated because we have that regular systematic support that that is required to keep things moving on a regular basis here within our life. And so I'd like to share this prayer of gratitude with the most generous of spiritual communities, knowing that this truly is the blessed moment where the fullness of the divine has its way as our very life. For that love of God moves through each and every one of us. For that which has graced our world continues to be grace in action. It is the motion and the movement of that Spirit. It is the faith in that which is truly inexhaustible that continues to manifest and reciprocate its expression as our life. And so we take that which is blessed and we send it forth, knowing that those blessings continue to enrich all those who come in contact. Thank you, Father, Mother, God, for this moment, time and space to be the abundant activity of Spirit. So it is. Amen. And together let us share this affirmation of abundance, which is, Spirit continues to bless my world. Gratefully I live as the giving expression of Spirit, opening the floodgates of the affluent flow of greater good as my life now. From Seaside. And so as I stand before this bounty, I can feel the outpouring of love that has moved through each and every one. For each one of these gifts has come from the heart, and it's a significant statement of that faith in God's abundance, knowing that truly the gift comes from love, it is received in love, it is handled in good stewardship, and is put back into the world with love to bring the blessings to everyone it comes in contact with. Thank you, Father, Mother, God, for this moment, and so it is. Amen. All right. It is John. He is one of your board members here, putting on the wonderful golf and banquet. How are we doing with banquet tickets?
Next week's the last week you can buy them. They have to submit all your information.
Really, we got to give the information. So, in other words, you've cut the ticket prices probably in half of what a normal banquet. We've got Rebecca, who flew in from Arizona to be here with us this morning, opens up Super Bowl week singing, sang last week at Kaboo, and is doing a private dance concert at the Marine base for all of us. And not everyone has bought their banquet ticket yet for like half price. Really? I don't understand it. But they're going to see you afterwards, right? Okay. See John and Emily, get your ticket. Don't let Rebecca down. But also it's a fundraiser. We've been required to have 4 new microphones because T-Mobile bought the bandwidth, so all cordless mics across the country can't be used anymore. And so it's $1,000 a mic, and that's it is. I mean, actually, we were supposed to stop using them at the beginning of the year, so they're not as strong as they once were. But anyway, that's part of what has prompted up. So that's what we're up to. If you want to just buy a microphone, we'll spray one of the old ones gold and give you the golden microphone. But anyway, Michael Paul, you're fabulous today. Just terrific. Michael Paul Smith, that baritone voice. Rebecca, always a joy to share Sundays with you. Thank you for flying in. It means a lot. Buy the banquet ticket coming up. Anyway, giving us sound day is Ed, giving us the visual is Marv. Nice job, guys. Know that their CD is available after service if you would like one. Also, we've got new dynamics behind the cameras. Today, we have got Tim Griffin behind one. We have got Edwin behind the other. I'm guessing Steve Grant's in there switching. So, hey, the Crawfords have gone on hiatus, so we need more camera folks. And Darlene, thank you. Never been behind the camera before, and I saw you here somewhere stepping up to learn the camera. So, Darlene, thank you. Oh, and Ann, you're learning the camera. Mark, where's Mark? He was out there a moment ago wearing his hat. Mark, we're going to need you back behind the cameras. Anyway, we're pulling together and turning this into all of us. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Take a look at the program. Like today, 1 o'clock, right here, we have Rick Ayrton doing the Chakra Jam Activation Light Show. And Rick, I saw you wheeling in. There he is. You want to stand up? Talk to him. I saw you wheeling in the lights, racks of lights. It's going to be great here at 1 o'clock. So talk to you afterwards back there, huh? Beautiful. That's going on. So speaking of frequencies and music, Monday night, deep sound meditation is going on here. That's always an out-of-body experience if you want one. That's available. Wednesday nights been turned over to Kathy Hearn for the rest of this year. She's doing the wonderful financial freedom. So if you'd like a little more financial freedom in your life, that's the place to be on Wednesday nights. Dr. Kathy Hearn, known in the movement for offering that. So sign up for that so they can get the work booklets for you. I see it's Rick and Sharon's 44th anniversary. Congratulations, Rick and Sharon. That's beautiful. Thursday, we've got a wonderful class being offered, new one by Elizabeth Rue to Feng Shuang, being conscious about your home on how to create. What is it? Tomorrow. Hers is on tomorrow, not Thursday. It has been corrected, just not in our program. So know that it is tomorrow. You can have deep in one room and conscious about your home in another. So that is available. Anyway, I can keep carrying on, but what I want to do, what's big about today, is I want to call all of our religious science practitioners up here on the stage because, as I shared, once a year, they make this public declaration and recommitment. And I just want you to see, these are the individuals that take our prayer requests out of the prayer request chest, and they pray on it daily, all week long. These are the individuals that have spent years, if not decades, deepening their consciousness. So when you stand before them, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to share some words, then I'm going to share some vow renewals, and then all of us are going to share, and we'll pray ourselves out, and they'll be standing up here. But we have got Tim Griffin, who has just spearheaded and initiated our TV ministry. We got Cameron, who has just been praying and is a standing testimony of surgery last week and stands before us as whole today. And so congratulations on that. Joanne, who just continues to get those prayer requests out, and Dennis, who is the mailman who delivers the Spirit. We got Katie, who just received her 30-year practitioner pin, so congratulations for that. Candace, who is a pillar of our community. We have got Deb Sadler, who's the head of our education. We've got Ed Cox, who makes sure all our computers are running on Spirit. And then we got Trudy heading up our practitioner corps going on. We got Victoria showing up here, who just brings the love and consciousness of Spirit to our kids. And then we've got Kathy, who's been a practitioner at Seaside here for more than 20 years. And then sitting next to her are the new ones. So we have got Dana, who's just newly licensed as a practitioner, partner with Michael Paul, and our neighborhood, and just one of our own who we see week after week, and we love you. And then we got Shelley Dell, who is in here from the Northwest, is going to be one of our distant practitioners. So we'll pray on every prayer request every week that comes out of here. We'll work with our online ministry, and you can always call her, but how grateful we are that you are aligning your energy and your spirit with Seaside. You are a blessing. And David Lemaster is also from the Northwest, flying in. I don't know if you flew yourself, but a bush pilot out of Alaska has more bear stories than I do. So I know his consciousness has saved his rear end a few times. We got Ellen Rice, more than 20 years. We got Kathleen, another 20 years. We have got Kay, who just oversees all of our special events here. We have got Patty Christensen, who was our past head of our practitioner corps. And then you got Bob Mathis blowing that horn for more than 25 years in the consciousness. We love you guys. Woo! This is the spiritual foundation of our community. These are the ones who pray that you don't know but are praying daily for us. And so I want us to realize that this dedication, rededication, is a holy moment in your life and in the life of our community. And through this rededication, the vows you are about to take, you are voluntarily offering yourself once again to be used by Spirit, by God, to help lift the consciousness not only of Seaside, of our movement, but of humanity as a whole. Because there's something trying to pull us down into this realm of human belief, but you get to know that the spiritual truth is emerging everywhere you look. You have elected to be one of those that is joining those that have gone before you to hold the high watch, that whole high consciousness that has created the field of what a practitioner is, one who is a believer of the truth. Always, not no matter what, but always, because there is no otherness to Spirit. And so I challenge you not to fall prey to the evidence of form. And remember that you are greater than any of the physical facts that is there, because it is Spirit that is greater, that is moving through you. And the old way of seeing requires no effort. One moment, though, in the divine, and you are free from the pull of scarcity and pain and false perceptions and the tyranny of the ego's vision. In our high-tech, quantifiable society we live in, our heads want explanations for everything. The mind can't measure what it is you're dealing with. You're working with Spirit. You're working with the ineffable. You're working with the soul. That's what takes crazy bravery. That is what is just huge sense of Spirit that is moving through you. And so I charge you to continue your spiritual daily practices so you may always feel the presence, even when the world bombards us with its perspective. But in the midst of the grandest confusion and the storms of life, you are to remain a radiant pillar of the calm light, steadfast to the spiritual principle. You must stop long enough to turn inside and remember that you are truly the one who is listening, and let your prayers be the voice of God, because you are listening to that Spirit. And so I ask you, do you so consecrate yourself as a practitioner of religious science, working under the authority and the license granted to you by the Centers for Spiritual Living, that you will rely upon and adhere to the principles taught by this movement in practicing the art and the science of spiritual mind healing? Yes. That's a good thing. Will you be ever aware of your high office and function, and conduct yourselves with a dignity, with an integrity, with a moderation, and a sincere devotion in every act, and conformity with the code of ethics of a religious science practitioner, knowing your deeds impact all practitioners everywhere? Yes. And do you dedicate yourselves to whoever may call upon you in a time of need? Will you be constantly aware of the divine that is within all people, no matter what the outward diverse expression may be, seeing only the perfect spiritual person, perfect in body, perfect in mind, and perfect in spirit? Yes. And finally, as a practitioner of religious science, do you bind yourself to absolute secrecy, keeping inviolate the confidence and the identity of those who come to you for help, unless you receive explicit consent to do otherwise? Then all of us together, let us share these 4 stanzas of acknowledgement for these individuals. We, that's all of us, the Seaside Center of Spiritual Living, acknowledge you for dedicating your life to continuously practicing the presence of God. We honor you for your commitment to your own personal spiritual growth. We acknowledge you for knowing peace, harmony, divine right action in the midst of confusion and love, choosing to be a radiant expression of divine love. We acknowledge you for dedicating your entire life to being a spiritual practitioner and for sharing your gift of spiritual clarity and integrity with the community of Seaside. We love you. And so I share this quick prayer. You can remain standing or seated because it will be swift. But it is acknowledging that love that fills this house. It is witnessing these individuals who stood before us to be a light, a conduit, a wonderful transparency to bring forth that light, that joy, that abundance, that deep knowing. Individuals who stand before us as examples of those that have said, yes, count me in, God, with everything I have to be used by Spirit. And so in this sense of joy, I can just feel that resonant field of spirit, of life and love. And I speak from this revelation, knowing the truth for each and every one of us is truly Spirit expressing in its grand way, in a personal way. And right now, in this very moment, feel that, sense that it is not something outside, but it is the faith of, it is the Spirit of, it is God itself that is expressing as our life, and anything unlike it cannot remain. There is no otherness. It is not God and my challenge, but rather it is only thou art. That's what I am and you are. Thou art God expressing. So with that comes the good, the wholeness, and that which is relevant and right. Every prayer request that has been brought forth to this community is now answered. For Mary Ann Lynch, that right where she is, her body returns to that place of perfect wholeness. For every member of this community, we move to a greater conscious connection of spirit, that we're able to keep our faith in the moment of confusion. So grateful to know that Seaside continues to grow, it continues to thrive, it continues to prosper, because the members of this family's lives continue to work at a higher level. Grateful that the truth is happening. I say thank you, not to anyone. It's just this sense of grace and gratitude that I let go. I trust and I believe in the divine unfoldment as our very life experience. And so it is. Amen.
There was a time in my life I thought I had to do it all for myself. I didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. I didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you are discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you've got to let it go. This is what you have to say. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. So no more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free. Yes, I'm only here for God. That I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. So no more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Come on, Seaside, sing it from your heart. Oh, yeah. Woo, yes. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Yay.
And our affirmation is, my faith has made me strong. Together, my faith has made me strong. Touch your heart and say it again. My faith has made me strong. Again, my faith has made me strong. One more time. My faith has made me strong in our song of grace.
I'm living in love, I'm living in peace, I'm living my life for what I believe, through joys and through fears. In this world I walk, God's grace shines on me, and it shines on us all. We are living in grace. We are living in grace. We are living in grace. We're living in love. We're living in peace. United we stand as one family. We honor all truth as together we walk. God's grace moves through me, and it moves through us all. We are living in grace. We are living in grace. We are living in grace. We are living in grace.
So come on up for prayer. Your practitioners are here to share a prayer with you. Bring whatever request and listen to the spiritual truth. Hear it and see it as God sees it in this moment. It feels good. It is real. It costs nothing. Take advantage of this moment.